Welcome back to Freedom Algo. Today was an awesome day, and there was a lot of really great setups, easy scalps today. There wasn't a lot of runners today, so I will call that out. The way that the market was moving, there was a lot of times where the price was coming back and stopping out runners. So today was one of those days where you wanted to get your scalp and then not really try to get a big runner, but maybe just take profit on your running contracts with just a few more ticks than usual. Like, let's say you were scalping for 4 ticks, like I was. You get your first point on your main portion of your trade, and then maybe take your runners at like 2, 3, maybe 4 points, but not really try to get big runners. So I'm going to go over these. Really, there was a lot of good setups today, and there were some really nice safe trades today. And even the ones that are marked green, some of these are actually, you could argue, should have been blue for safe longs or red for safe shorts. But I'm gonna show those anyway. So when we came in, we kind of had a spike in channel pattern. And here's the first trade of the day. Of course, channel moved on me slightly, like it always tries to. So let me just move it back to where it was. Supposed to be basically like right there. So I drew this when I first got here. And you can see here, like this is what, about 5:30, 5:18. So 5 o'clock in the morning came somewhere around here. I wasn't trading there. I'm still recovering from being sick, so I slept in a little bit. But I did get here in time for this trade. And so what you have here is you're within the channel and you get a pullback, first entry, pullback, goes a little bit lower and gives you a second entry right here. It's a huge bar though, so that's why I marked it green. It's 24 ticks. So if you wait for this bar to close, which you do have to, you can't enter this on the engulfing bar because it's too much stem. So you have to wait for this to close and then enter. And it ends up working. Like if you went long here, you actually would get filled on your scalp on this trade. So you would have entered, you would have taken barely any heat and it would have filled you. But it is a huge bar, so I would understand the hesitation there. So the thing is, when you get a bar like this, what you can do is you can wait for it to break higher and then drop your limit order a little further back and see if you get a fill. And if you did, it would have worked out, but it is a little risky because it already moved the full scalp length on this first candle. So I don't think you could enter this higher low necessarily. But anyway, I wanted to call that out. It's a safe trade. It just has a big stop loss. So another way to play that is you can just enter it with a smaller position size. That's another possibility when it's that big. So anyway, it works out. It comes up. And then you end up getting a little bit sideways here. I didn't have the range drawn at first. I was just thinking we had a first entry, pullback, easy second entry. So that was a nice, easy trade. I took that one. I talked about it in Discord. And what I like about this trade, it's right here. It's right after the open. And basically you have this high, pullback, first entry, pullback, 1 tick below this bar. So it is another little pullback, but then it comes up. So it's kind of a higher low second entry. I like those. And you can see we're not really closing below the EMA here. The EMA, the 21 EMA is holding, bounces right off this opening price. So I just think that that's an easy scalp. You then get a higher low right here. So the reason this one I marked it green because you already moved here. Now this is a higher low. It's also a first entry short, second entry short that fails. So now the reason I marked this one green and why I want to call this out. This one I do believe you need to enter on the engulfing bar. So even though this isn't the ideal type of engulfing bar to enter on, you can tell it's a trap as a failed second entry. So you put your order 1 tick above this bar, and so this opens right here. It goes 1 tick or so below this bar and immediately reverses. It would fill you right here. And the reason I said that is because you need to have enough room to the highs to get out. So if you entered that one on the engulfing bar, it works out. Even if you entered after, it's fine. But at that point, I think you're running too much risk because you don't have enough space to the highs. So that's how I played that. Eventually, I did draw this as a possible range because it was looking a little sideways. This is kind of just a failed breakout. And then comes over and you get another pullback, first entry, pullback, second entry long. I was going to take this one in real time. The reason I didn't, and the reason I didn't love it, and I talked about this one in Discord and in school earlier, is that right here, when it was forming, I was thinking if this thing broke lower and then bounced, that would be more ideal. But even with the 2-bar matching low, I was okay with it if this finished a little more bullish. But when this stem happened, it happened right at the end of the bar. It looked like it could be a trap and it could reverse. So I didn't love it. It ends up working out though fine. But you can't enter that on the engulfing bar. You got to wait for it to close. And that stem just kind of gives you some pause. It also made it close to these highs. So anyway, you then got this working up. You get a break, move to a new high, kind of triple test sort of vibe there. Pulls back, and now you're sideways, and you get a triple test here. So you get a 1, 2, triple test. I think these are equal lows. 84, 84. Yep, this is an equal low to this one, and it's like kind of tapping this level. It's also an equal low to this 84. So that's definitely a triple test. And it is a pullback hidden first entry, pullback second entry. So it's kind of a hidden second entry long. It's also a bullish bar with a triple test in a sideways moving market. So I like that one. It's close to this lower trend line. So easy trade. Um, I just, it's not ideal because you wanted it to come back and it's not a true second entry, but it is a closeout side and a new high off of this down channel all at once too, but you could get another leg, and that's why it's marked green. So then comes up, get a close outside, and this is just a second entry short. So this is your new low, first entry short, second entry short, failed breakout on the top of this perfectly bearish bar. It's only 7 ticks, low risk, easy trade, easy short. Now, we're not necessarily trying to always pick tops here, but the reason for the context here is that this up channel had already played out and given you a new high, and now you got a second leg to a new high, and it's looking like it might be a range. It ends up not really being much of a range. It pulls back and then comes out. So once you got this new high, you had to think the range was failing and that the down or the uptrend was going to win, and it did. It came up. You then get a little sideways up here. This one is just simply a reversal type bar playing the range, because at this point you've got, this is kind of like a triple test. It's a little bit higher, so you can't, I don't love it, but it is a range, a clear range in play. And the way that that formed, to me, it looked like it was probably going to come back at least to the bottom of the channel, and it did. It then starts a downtrend, which you don't expect, but it did. And you would have got a runner on that if you took that one, at least to ride it to the bottom. So it comes down. This one was tempting because there is a hidden second entry there, but I didn't love taking a long here, even though it is off of these lows, and that we've tested that area. I thought that, it was too bearish, and you're probably going to get another leg down, which you do right here, because you get a close outside. You get another leg down. So this is a close outside and a new low, but this is your second leg. So I like this one because now it is a true second entry long. And I did take that one. I think that was my last trade of the day, and then I had to leave for a little while. That ends up being a nice, easy trade. You don't get a runner, but you do get a nice move back to it goes right back to the EMA, which is where you expect it to go. This one, I actually did. This will be in the course when the course is launched. And this one, I live recorded this trade, and this was one of those ones where it was really weird because I got in where you're supposed to, and it did go 2 points. The problem was it went like this. It went up a point, scalped me out, it moved my stop to break even, and even though this looks like it didn't come back to stop me out, it did in the same candle. So it literally went up, and then it like reversed back and tapped my break even stop before I could even scalp out the rest of my profit. So I got my scalp out of it, but I didn't get my runner profit the way I wanted it to. So that was a little bit annoying, but it happens. It's just the kind of day it was. So then we get an uptrend, a new uptrend that's working. I think this is a new trend after the break here, and you are expecting a new high, which you do get right over here. And so, all right, so then what you get here, you get this new high, but this uptrend is still possibly in effect. Now, you wouldn't have known for sure how the uptrend was going to play out, and at the time, you might have been looking at this as a possible, something like maybe in here, maybe it's hard to say. But what you really do get here that I like is from this high, you get a pullback and it's a first entry right there. And then it pulls back and gives you a second entry all in one bar. So you can go long above this bar. It's really bullish. And it's kind of giving you a confirmation of this possible trend line, which at the time, I think I drew it. It was kind of I think I drew it more like this at the time. And it's definitely confirming that trend line right there in effect. It's right above the EMA, it's aggressive. You're thinking, all right, we're probably gonna at least get our scalp out of that, no problem. It then makes a new high, comes back, gives you a first entry. And I was looking for a second entry here because I think I had gotten back at that time, but it didn't break lower. It was too sideways. You can't take that, even though it works. It then goes up and it makes that high, which we were looking for 6,000. It gets there. On this bar, it gets there, and then it gets there on this bar. Reverses for a second, and then it pushes another leg up, but there's just no setups up here. Finally, it comes down and you get a first entry, second entry long that fails. But I just don't know. I mean, I just think after the break of this channel up here, like this is not that convincing of a break. It's possible that it is possible that this channel was more like this the whole time and that this is the first break. So you're expecting a possible new high there, which looks like we actually just got while I'm recording this video right there. So it did play out. So you can't short right here because you are thinking it might go up. Now it does work. So if anybody took a short here on a failed second entry long, I wouldn't have been super mad. I mean, I guess I'll mark it. I wouldn't have. It's a little bit. It's if this. It just depends. If this tapped the EMA and then reversed and gave us an even more bearish bar, then maybe. So anyway, it comes down, comes back up, comes down. Now we're just chopping. We're still within this channel. And that's the other thing. That's another reason that you could consider this trade. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to go like this. This channel could have been tighter, and if that's the case, it does look like a pretty nice spot for a short. So if you took that, I'm not mad about it. It's probably a decent setup. Channel ended up being a little wider, I think, and then you basically, it might have been something like this. You get a close outside, new low, second leg to a new low. So this one is just playing on that. It's just playing on, we've had two legs after a break and a new low. It's a really bullish reversal bar. And I'm looking at this as kind of a triple test. If you draw this from like, if you take one of these, draw it over, it's a 1, 2. It's kind of a triple test of that level. It's off of this possible range low that I had drawn off of this close area. Like it just, to me, looked pretty bullish. It's risky. And you can see it does try to come back and stop you. It doesn't give you a very good higher low setup, unfortunately, which would have been the safer one. If this was a bullish bar right here, I would have said, yeah, take the higher low, but you just don't get one. And it's also getting close to the news, and that's another reason it's risky. To be honest with you, I probably would have, if this wasn't close to the news, I probably would have marked it blue because a bar like that, 11 tick, that's about as bullish as it comes. You're going to probably get your scalp. And you can see here the high of this bar, 97.5. High of this bar, 91.75. It would have taken a second. You would have to sit sideways in it, but it does work out. But it was getting close to the news, so the volatility was picking up. And you can see here, now the volatility is kind of shooting out of this, and it could be the case. Yeah, see, that's getting a little too low for me. The range that's just looking invalid. That could be a failed breakout. Yeah, I wouldn't have been trading. I mean, this is long enough after the news. There's a possible failed breakout here. Just this is happening while I was recording. It looks like. So you do have that there. You do have a first entry, second entry short off of the top of the channel here. Gotta be careful with this stuff though, because short-term trend line was still in play. So that's why that's going to be a green. But it is off the top of the channel. It is kind of a triple test. Double top off that level. So that one for me is a possible short. Possible long here on just a failed breakout. And it really is a first entry, second entry long, because this is not really a new high. So that's actually a second entry long failed breakout move. That's actually a pretty good one. Again, you don't get a runner, because you can see here that this candle comes back and stops where you would have entered. So they were stopping people out today, unfortunately. Then you get a first entry. You actually get a second entry short right here. I mean, I don't know if I'd short the high of the day like that, but I mean, it is somewhat valid of a setup. Volatility is just kind of picking up a little crazy right now. I'm going to mark it as a green. There is actually a short there. I don't usually trade this time of the day, but I'm recording the video a little later because I had some stuff going on. So anyway, there's some really sweet setups today. A lot of these I'm marking green, but you could argue. I mean, if you get a lower high here, I mean, it kind of already played out, but if this ends up giving you a lower high bearish candle, that might be a pretty nice setup too. So let's just take a look for a second, just because this candle is probably going to finish printing soon. And so what we're looking for is a bearish candle here. Could end up being a lower high after this kind of failed breakout at the top of this range. You could end up with a really nice one. Let's take a look at where the high of this candle is. Yeah, it's pretty close to that level. So let's see. I don't know if it's going to finish bearish enough back in the range. It might not. It might be bullet. Yeah, see, it's not. That's not. But I was thinking if this was a really bearish candle, it might have been a nice lower high. But you can't trade that as a lower high now. So that original scalp would have worked, but this, hard to say. And I mean, you can draw. I didn't draw these because I'm recording this in real time. There is a possible downtrend here. You don't get a new low. And sometimes when you don't get a new low on these, it reverses way more aggressively. This one, yeah, see this one, I probably would have actually looked at this more like this. As an uptrend, close outside, and then a move to a new high. And I'd leave it there. So I'm going to wrap it up here, and I'll see you tomorrow.